How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it is Friday here on the show. Not only Fun Friday, Black Friday. And we got a lot to talk about here today. Of course, last night was Collision, and because of Thanksgiving, I actually haven't seen Collision yet, but we got all the updates from Collision. We got the updates for the Continental Classic, where everyone stands at this point. We got new matches announced for Dynamite. Of course, this weekend is Survivor Series. That is tomorrow. Survivor Series War Games, men's and women's War Games matches. Intercontinental title on the line, women's title on the line. We'll give you the lineup for that. SmackDown was taped, so that's coming up later on tonight as well. So we're going to get into all of the lineups for all of the shows this coming weekend. And then we've got news. My God, this Ric Flair interview that he did on the Double Coverage podcast. We have to talk about that. We've got some notes on a new world title match potentially coming up for an upcoming AEW show. We got a Ring of Honor Final Battle next week. Bunch of matches announced for that show. An update on Roosh. There is a AAA show tonight. And Rey Mysterio has been announced as a special guest for the show. We'll tell you what's happening there. And a new AEW signee. So we didn't actually talk about Dynamite because there was no show yesterday for Thanksgiving. So we can talk about that show today here as well. And Lance Storm is joining us. We'll have time for your questions. 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. A lot of people out shopping, but if you're listening, now's your chance to get some questions in. 425-780-7566. I'm F4WOnline at gmail.com. Also F4WOnline, Threads, Instagram, and Cameo. At Bryan Alvarez, X and Blue Sky. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. It sounds sketchy. All right, we're back here on the show. Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Lance Storm is joining us. We're going to hope for the best here today. If we disappear, well, we'll barrel on through. All right. Lance is joining us here. How was your not Thanksgiving yesterday?
It was very Thursday.
Excellent. How was your actual Thanksgiving?
It was, for some reason, we didn't really do much. I don't remember what happened. Thanksgiving in Canada isn't as big of a deal, and I think all our schedules were such. I may have even been on the road. I think I was. I think I was on the road for Bound for Glory, so we didn't do much.
What's with the beard? Just getting cold, or are you lazy?
It started as just being lazy, with Max recovering from his surgery and my wife falling and breaking her tailbone. I've been a bit of a nurse at home and busy. And then every couple of years, I go a couple weeks without shaving and go, maybe I'll see how long I can go. And I usually get fed up after 3 weeks, but I think I'm about 4 weeks in now.
Wow. That's 4 weeks?
I think so, maybe less.
Jeez, we should have started at the same time. I think
you look like you shaved for a change.
I could beat you in 2 weeks, I think. Everyone likes your facial hair here on the chat.
It's very gray. It's fuller than you would think, but the gray hair doesn't show up all that much.
All right. Well, we got Survivor Series coming up tomorrow. War Games. And there is a taped edition of SmackDown tonight. I did a whole NXT review last night talking about how Trick Williams should debut on the show tonight and beat Ilya Dragunov, not realizing it was taped. That doesn't happen, everybody. Spoiler alert. It's going to be a long day, isn't it, Lance?
It is, and my youngest got 4 wisdom teeth pulled, so it's quite the household.
Yeah, what's going on, Max? Why are you so angry every time the show starts?
Well, probably because the vet messed up his surgery and he's having complications.
I know. It's like, is it all the time, or is it only when the show starts?
He's more restless than he usually is all the time.
Okay. Well, we got the men's War Games match. It's CM Punk, Jey Uso. Actually, I don't even have the full lineup here. I'll get to this in a moment. I've got an outdated lineup. But luckily, have you guys ever heard of WrestlingObserver.com?
I would hope so at this point.
Yeah, we've got a Black Friday sale, by the way. I can plug that while I'm getting this Survivor Series update. There's a big Black Friday sale for it's got a promo code here too as well. You can get a 1-year subscription for just $99.99, or you can get 3 months for $25. These are both available right now. Black Friday, WrestlingObserver.com. Link up on my Twitter as well, or just go to the front page of WrestlingObserver.com, and your subscription gets you all sorts of stuff. You know, you get, I think, 85 podcasts every month. There's like 3 to 4 Bryan and Vinny shows. We got one tomorrow after Survivor Series, 3 to 4 Observer radios. You know, this show goes up. If you don't get a chance to listen to Observer Live, you can get the replay at WrestlingObserver.com commercial free. So there's a lot of great stuff. We got a bunch of other podcasts as well. And the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Wrestling Observer newsletter archives. There's thousands of issues. There's over 15,000 archived podcasts going back to 2005. And right now, you can get a year's subscription for $99.99 or a 3-month subscription for $25. It's $8.33 a month, which is a great value. So head up there right now, WrestlingObserver.com. And you can also check out my Twitter, at Bryan Alvarez, my ex. And that'll give you all of the info. So
cheaper than a cup of coffee a week.
You know, it is cheaper than a cup of coffee. And, yeah. All right. Where is the Survivor Series? You know where I had it?
I do not, Brian. I do not.
I had it right here, Lance. All right. Here it is. Okay. Survivor Series is this weekend. And for the men, we've got Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. That is the men's War Games match. For the women, we've got AJ Lee, Charlotte, Alexa, Rhea, and Io Sky versus Becky, the Kabuki Warriors, Nia Jax, and Lash Legend. So, I think for the men, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we had either the debut of Austin Theory, who was originally going to be in the match, but it didn't end up working out, or maybe Jimmy Uso turning on his team. I just feel like something is going to happen in the men's match. I feel like the women's War Games is just going to be like the babyface women. You know, they win, everybody's happy. I don't see any big angles coming out of that one, but I do see angles coming out of the men's War Games match. And apparently, whatever they're doing at WrestleMania, or at least one of the big matches at WrestleMania, apparently there was a teaser on Monday, and there's going to be another teaser at Survivor Series. I don't even think it's much of a teaser. I think it's very clear. It's going to be CM Punk and Roman Reigns for the title at WrestleMania. They did that. Well, they did a teaser on Monday for Roman against one or the other, either Cody or CM Punk. But, I mean, we've seen Roman and Cody, twice now at WrestleMania? I don't think we need to see a third time. So I think that your WrestleMania main event, barring injury, is probably planned to be Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. But we'll know more tomorrow. We've also got the Intercontinental title match, John Cena and Dominic Mysterio. John won the title from Dominic. And
does Dom get it back here?
Well, here's the thing. I think if I were booking, if I were in charge, Dominic beats John Cena and wins the title back here. And then John Cena beats Gunther in his final match, okay? That's what I would do.
Agreed.
What I know is that originally, the original plan, and plans can change, the original plan is that John Cena was beating Dominic, okay? I don't know what the plan is for John Cena's final match. My guess is that John Cena, if he were in charge fully, would lose his final match. I think John Cena needs to win his final match. I don't think it hurts Gunther one bit. That would put us right back to where we were when John Cena turned heel and said he was going to win the WWE title and retire with it, and we'd never see it again, and he was going to kill wrestling. That's essentially what would happen if he beat Dominic, and then if he beat Gunther on top of that, he basically is retiring with the Intercontinental title. Obviously,
I don't think destroying the lineage of the IC title will kill wrestling, though.
Well, no, and I'm sure they'll do a tournament or whatever, but, you know.
I just don't see the point in giving Dom 2 of Cena's last matches and having Cena beat him both times. So I think Dom's getting his title back.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do, but that was not the plan. You know, my other idea, which actually I think is a great idea if I do say so myself. John Cena has stated that I don't want the Saturday Night's Main Event to be all about me. I want it to also be a showcase for the NXT talent, etc., etc. So what I think you should do is you should announce John Cena versus Gunther and maybe like 2 NXT matches. Javon and Leon Slater and, I don't know, Trick Williams and Miles Bornigan. I'm just throwing out names, okay? So I think that John Cena should go on first. I think that John Cena should beat Gunther. It's his final match. He's still the champion. I then think he should announce, I obviously am no longer going to defend this title. I'm retired. So I am going to give this title. We have 2 NXT matches. Whoever wins the 2 matches will face off in a little mini tournament finale, and the winner of that match is going to get the Intercontinental title. And then Javon wins his Intercontinental title on Saturday night's Main Event, and that solves all the problems in the world. You understand? And then away we go. So that's my pick.
It would certainly reduce the ranting on your shows.
It sure would. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. Can't they just do something to make me happy after just making me suffer the entire year? We also got Stephanie and Nikki Bella for the women's title. And we'll talk more about this after the break. Observer Live. I think Nikki Bella's going to win this title from Stephanie.
I would bet against that.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but I suppose anything's possible. Well, that is Survivor Series tomorrow, and if you are a subscriber or not, we're going to be doing a post-show. Vinny and I will be watching Survivor Series live. I'll be tweeting for my Twitter subscribers, and then afterwards, we will go live with the post-show. And if you want to watch live, you can do so on either YouTube or Twitch. Twitch you can actually subscribe to for free with your Amazon Prime account. Just go to twitch.tv/F4W video and click subscribe, link your Amazon Prime account, and it's free. So we'll be up live, and then later on in the evening, we'll also be up live with Wrestling Observer Radio with Dave Meltzer. So we'll recap all the matches, tell you everything that happened, the whole shebang. And that's the plan for this weekend. Also, should mention yesterday an exclusive interview with Nick Nemeth went up on the site. Filthy and I interviewed Nick Nemeth. And this afternoon, I'm going to put up the interview with Chris Bay. Both of these were, we did these interviews at the Relentless show this past Saturday night in Spokane. It was a lot of fun. I did commentary, believe it or not. And that'll be up on the Relentless Wrestling YouTube. And the Chris Bay interview is very good. That guy's great. So,
and despite me training Dolph Ziggler and currently working with him, neither one of you put me over at all.
Well, you know, he had a limited time. I had a lot of Lance Storm-related questions, such as, do you know I beat him once? Okay. Ric Flair. He had an interview on the Double Coverage podcast. And he said, I talked to him the day before he died. I shouldn't say this, but what killed him was street drugs. When the doctor wouldn't prescribe anymore, he was in so much pain. And he had that neck surgery, and it got infected, so back in the hospital. And then when the doctor would not prescribe any more pain medicine, they just couldn't do it all in good conscience. He went and got the drugs off the street. His body just said, you know what, bingo, I can't do it anymore. He later said, it's all going to come out in the media in the next 30 days. You'll read about it anyway. I just don't feel free to talk about it, he said. Even though he just did. So, you know, obviously the family believes, I think it was medical malpractice is what they're claiming.
Good luck with that now.
Well, I mean, I just don't know what's going on here. I mean, Ric Flair, he's kind of at the point where he just says whatever he's going to say, you know? Mm-hmm. And, I mean, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. He says it'll come out in the next 30 days. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, but holy smokes. I mean, that's what he said.
He and Bret Hart doing all kinds of colorful interviews.
Well, yeah, Bret did as well. What was Bret talking about this week? He was angry about Sheamus's punches. He thought that Vince and Shawn were lovers. Mm-hmm. It's like everyone's just
stirring the pot.
I mean, I don't know. I think obviously Vince and Shawn were close. I don't think they were lovers. I think that Shawn was just a guy that was extremely talented, and he was a guy that was staying with WWE, and Bret was not. I don't know. Well, that Ric Flair interview just threw me off. It threw me off. So we'll see what happens.
Keep talking. I got to deal with Max.
All right, you deal with Max. I'll talk about the Continental Classic. So Thursday, we had more Continental Classic matches. This was Nashville. Gold League, Pac picked up his first win, defeating Speedball Mike Bailey. So he got 3 points. And he will be facing Okada, who's coming off a loss this coming Wednesday. So the Blue League, we had Takeshita beating Roderick Strong to pick up his first win. And that puts us here. Orange Cassidy, this is for the Blue League. Orange Cassidy has 0 points. Takeshita has 3. Moxley has 3. Claudio has 3. Roderick has 0. And Masquerade Rada also has 0. So Takeshita, Moxley, and Claudio tied for 3 in the Blue League. For the Gold League, we have Pac, Kevin Knight, and Kyle Fletcher all tied at 3. And Darby Allin, Mike Bailey, and Okada all with 0 points. So that is the standings there. So now the dog's barking and I have to sneeze. Anything else?
Can't win no matter which.
Anything else? Yes, it's always been 3 points for a win. Right, Max?
Yeah,
right.
Max is on board.
All right, we also had an angle on the show where Eddie Kingston beat Shibata, and then he cut a promo filled with F-bombs, and he challenged Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is not accepted, but basically Eddie Kingston wants his title match at Winter is Coming. So they've got a tour of the United Kingdom. This is AEW. They're going to be in Cardiff, Wales, December 13th. That's Winter is Coming. Collision Winter, I guess. Collision Winter is Coming is Cardiff, Wales, December 13th. And then Holiday Bash is December 17th in Manchester. So that's likely the next big championship match for Samoa Joe, Eddie Kingston. He did say on Wednesday, I'm not in contention for a title, but you know what? I'll beat Shibata and then I will be. And he beat Shibata and apparently he is. So he's made his challenge.
Well, that makes as much sense as anything. At least he beat somebody to get a title shot.
That is true. So we also have, oh man, speaking of interviews, oh my Lord. So Andrade did an interview with Deportes in Mexico, and he said that he is working with WWE on an agreement to get out of his 1-year no-compete. He said WWE only activated the clause after he appeared on AEW programming. Before that, he believed he was completely free of his deal. My lawyers are already talking with WWE's lawyers. They're reaching an agreement. I don't know the exact date. So this whole situation with Andrade, we should talk to you about this. So, Lance, before you deal with Max again here, when you were with WWE in 2019, they had this clause in the contract, right, about getting fired?
Yes, if you were fired for cause, then it was a 1-year no-compete.
If you were fired for cause. So basically you had to get yourself fired.
Yes, there had to be a justification on why you were fired, breach of contract, something like that.
Yes. So they couldn't just, we're done with you, we fire you, you can't work for a year. This was a way to keep you from wanting to get out of your contract that you signed, and because they wouldn't let you out, you get yourself fired, and they felt you should not be able to get yourself fired and then go work for somewhere else the next day. And so this is in the contract, it's a 1-year no-compete. So Andrade got fired. And he did admit, as we'll talk about, that there was at least a wellness policy violation. The rumor within WWE were that there were several. But whatever happened, they decided we got to fire this guy. So they fired him. And in the aftermath of his firing, the word that was going around wrestling, let me repeat that. The word that was going around wrestling was that WWE didn't care what he did and he could just go wherever he wanted, okay? That was the word going around wrestling, all right? So then he shows up on AEW television and he claims that at that point they activated the 1-year no-compete, okay? That's his story. Now, he also, there was an incident where he appeared at an event in Mexico that I believe he was scheduled to maybe wrestle on, or at least he was going to appear. But he walked out of the show in, like, he was very angry and he left, okay? No one could figure out, like, what happened. He was booked for the show, and then, because, again, the word around wrestling was that it was only a non-compete for the United States. So now it's all starting to kind of come together for me. I believe that what happened was he got himself booked on a show in Mexico, either to appear or wrestle. And WWE found out about it, and they were like, no, this is a worldwide no-compete. It is not just a no-compete in the United States. That's why he left angry. That's what I think happened. I can't confirm that, but I'm trying to piece all of this together. Tony Khan was also asked about Andrade, and if what Andrade is saying is true, they told him, we don't care what you do. He appears on WWE TV, and then they activate his no-compete. If that is true, okay, AEW, if that is true, then I find it very interesting that when asked about it, Tony Khan did not blame WWE for this, okay? What he did was he suggested that it was something with Andrade. So I'm wondering if this whole thing is that Andrade, when he got fired, thought, I'm fired, I'm free. He went to AEW. He said, I'm fired, I'm free. They put him on TV. And then when WWE saw him on TV, they were like, wait a second. No, you got to no-compete, dude. I don't think this is WWE telling him one thing and then changing it afterwards. I think Andrade was just confused. Now, the big question is, when he showed up to AEW, where was his contract? Why did they not have lawyers look over this contract to determine whether or not he was actually free? It sounds like they just put him on television. So anyway, we could talk more about this after the break. Observer Live. Lance, there's another thing you thought was possible.
Well, it's possible that WWE's intention was they just don't want you to go to AEW, and they thought he burned his bridge, so they didn't point out or draw attention to his no-compete. And then when he ended up on AEW television, they decided to enforce it. And it's even possible that they thought they might just enforce it for AEW, and then had lawyers explain to them that you're going to have to enforce the entire thing or none of it. And they enforced all of it.
Well,
and again, speculation purely.
Sure. I would say that that's possible, but I'm still leaning towards he didn't understand his own contract, because later in the interview, he also doesn't understand the wellness policy because he had a wellness policy violation, and at least one. The rumor was several, but his response was, I got a warning because there are many medicines or supplements in Mexico that you can use, but over there you can't. So basically, he was taking things in Mexico, or he
could legally buy in Mexico.
Yes, but he was taking them in the United States as part of like the wellness policy. You can't take it as a matter. It doesn't matter if it's legal where you bought it. If the wellness policy says you can't take it, you can't take it. So I don't know, man.
There are a lot of wrestlers that don't read their contract beyond the pay part.
Yeah, I'm a little bit torn on this whole, like, everybody has taken a side with this Andrade thing based on whether you think WWE is evil or not. I'm trying to look at this just logically, and my thought is, yes, there should be a clause in the contract where if you get yourself fired, you cannot just walk into the competition the next day, okay? That's why it's there. Let's just take anybody, Drew McIntyre, okay? Let's say that Drew McIntyre
wanted to go work a Juggalo with Vince.
Well, no, let's say he wants to go to AEW. He's fed up,
What's that Vince Russo offer?
Actually, what's funny? It's like this same thing has actually hurt AEW because, CM Punk, for example. CM Punk, he had one foot out the door. He was ready to go. He was upset. And, he ended up getting fired. And because he was fired, like a month later, he walked into Survivor Series and was one of the biggest stars in the company on day one. And the only reason it took a month was because I'm not sure that either side was sure that they wanted to use him. But if WWE had known in like September or whenever the fight with Jack Perry was, if they had known then we want this guy, and CM Punk had known they want me, then he could have attacked Jack Perry, he could have attacked anybody, gotten fired that night, and appeared on Raw the next day, okay? That's what this clause is supposed to prohibit, okay? If you sign a contract, they want you to honor the contract, obviously, okay? So I believe there should be something where if Roman Reigns gets really fed up with some storyline and he's like, I want out, and they're like, no, you're not getting out. You're signed for 4 more years. Roman Reigns can't just take a baseball bat and, smash Otis's head in and get fired and then show up on Dynamite the next day, okay? You want to prevent that, okay?
I would hope so.
With that said, a year is a long time. And I don't think that's going to fly. If they took that to court, I don't think a year is going to fly. I think it's possible that you could get away with 3 months. So maybe that's what it should be. If you are fired for a cause, you can't go anywhere else for 3 months, okay? 3 months kind of cools you off a little bit. You're not just going to walk into the other promotion the next day. You hopefully making 6 figures for years and years, have enough to survive for 3 months. Then you can get your job. I think 3 months is a fair amount of time to prevent people from doing crazy things to get out of their contract, but also, not holding them for a year without pay. That seems a little bit excessive.
A year is a long time to prevent someone from earning a living.
Yes. All right. Lineup for the AAA show in Puebla, Mexico. This is tonight. It's going to air on YouTube at 10:15 Eastern, so right after the SmackDown show airs. Rey Mysterio is a special guest for the show. We got Dragon Lee versus Mecha Wolf. El Grande Americano versus El Hijo del Vikingo. I just love when El Grande and Vikingo are in the ring together. It's like Vikingo's a babyface who's hated, and Grande is a heel who's beloved. It's just bizarre.
It's going to be quite the height difference in that one, too.
There will be. La Parca, Mr. Iguana, Nino Hamburguesa versus Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro, and Galeno del Mal. Jack Cartwheel, who's an ID talent, versus Elio LaFleur and Chris Carter, and Rey Mysterio as the special guest. I watched this El Grande Americano, and I think the long-term plan is that he and Pete Dunne and the other El Grande, or the other Americano, what's his name? Anyway, I think they're going to
Tyler Bate.
I believe the 3 of them at some point are going to end up dropping the gimmick, and they're gonna reform their group.
League of Nations 2.0.
Yeah, basically. What were they with? What was Gunther's group called?
Imperium.
Yeah, I think they will be the new Imperium. Okay. With that said, I've been watching El Grande Americano, and I can't imagine Ludwig Kaiser wants to go back to being Ludwig Kaiser. I mean,
This has turned out really well for him.
he is having the time of his life. You just watch. He is having so much fun as El Grande Americano that I don't even know what to do. I actually don't know what to do when Chad Gable comes back. I mean,
Just have him be Chad Gable.
I think what he needs to do is Chad Gable needs to return, and another El Grande Americano, a shorter version, needs to also show up. And so we have El Grande versus El Grande, and probably it would lead to mask versus match, mask versus mask, and then Kaiser would, unmask and go back to being Ludwig Kaiser. But I mean, I'd rather he won and Chad Gable unmasked. Ludwig Kaiser is so great as this El Grande Americano.
There's no reason you can't just bring back Chad Gable.
Yeah, have Imperium.
Just keep the current El Grande Americano.
You need to find another tall, skinny guy in great shape and two more short guys. And for a long time, it's like my clone gimmick. For a long time, Ludwig Kaiser returns, but El Grande Americano also exists. And then Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne return, but Los Americanos also still exist, and they just keep doing matches, etc. But it finally builds to the match where they're going to have a match with each other. And then you've got to have, the Imperium versus El Americanos match somehow. Oh, man, I got ideas. Anyway.
Just got to figure out cloning.
Yeah, I sure do. Because, man, I got ideas with that as well. So, Caden Carter is signed with AEW. So, that's another new signing. And that's pretty much it. So, that's the news. Let's get into the questions. If you got questions for Lance or myself, you can text them to 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. We'll answer some questions here. And we're also going to have at some point in the next, I'd say probably week or so, I'm going to do a live Q&A for our Platinum subscribers on YouTube. So if you are a regular subscriber, you can sign up for Platinum. It'll be exclusive only for you guys. We'll do those probably at least once a month or so, but that's going to be a lot of fun. And Brandon here goes, where is Santos Escobar? Have you heard anything since his new contract? Well, I know that he signed a new contract, and I know it was a very big contract. And so whatever you think about WWE booking, they ain't going to sign a guy to this kind of money and then not push him. So I think this is an example of we actually need to have a real idea for this guy before we bring him back. So I'm not sure when he will be back, but I know one of his requests with his new contract, I believe, was he wanted a personal meeting with Triple H to discuss his future plans. So I'm sure they're going to come up with something. I'm sure he's going to get a big push, and when that will be, I don't know.
But unless they have Mania plans for him, now is a terrible time to debut.
Well, I think it would have to be Royal Rumble, and he would have to have a big match planned.
But if they don't have a Mania match planned for him, let him sit till after Mania.
Hey, listen, that guy, for the money he's making, he can sit at home for a while. He's got no problems with that. This person says, when Andrade was in AEW, didn't he have a spat with Sammy Guevara? They were told to cool it, but then Andrade punched him. I feel like there was suspicion he was trying to get himself fired at that point. Yeah, that's the issue, is people, if they really want out and they think there's a job for them somewhere else, you don't want them finding a way to get fired. Because finding a way to get yourself fired, you're usually doing something really bad. So you want to avoid that. You want to avoid, hey, if you get yourself fired, you can go to the other company. Because that makes, if you don't have some sort of no-compete, what it creates is a situation where if you don't like working in a certain promotion, the only way to get out is to commit a heinous act. You do not want that. So I think there has to be a clause of some sort. Whatever that is, I don't know. And the length, I also don't know. All right. This person says, if Okada is mathematically eliminated, is that the moment he loses the title? Or would he still be the champion on Wikipedia until somebody else wins the tournament in the final match? Will the title be vacant for like a week? I'm sure he will be in the finals, but it is silly. So what we have determined is
that no one thought it through.
No, I think that everyone has thought it through, but they've all come to a different conclusion. I'm sure Tony knows what's going on. I don't know if Okada does, because Excalibur, the announcer, said that Okada remains the unified champion, but if he doesn't make it out of the first league, the league block or whatever, he doesn't make it out of the block, then he loses the title because he wouldn't be in the finals, and therefore he wouldn't end up with it. So he has to make it through the league play to remain unified.
But in theory, he could be mathematically eliminated early.
If that happens, then presumably that is when he is no longer the Continental Champion. But he'll still be the International Champion. Okay? Now, I don't know if Okada knows this because when he came to the ring on Wednesday, he only came out with the International title. He didn't come out with the Continental title or the Unified belt because there's 3 belts. Got it, everybody? So I think he thinks that by entering the tournament, I'm vacating it and it's going to go to the winner, which some people have argued is what happens, but that's not what the announcer said. He is still the Unified Champion until the time comes where he's either mathematically eliminated or he loses in the finals. That's what's going on.
So there could be a period where the title is vacant.
There could be a title. There could be a period where the title is vacant. That is correct. Person notes Emma got herself fired for shoplifting. That is true.
She was hired back almost immediately.
She was quickly hired back, yes. This person says, I know you feel strongly about pushing Javon, which I agree with. Do you have any thoughts on young stars that should be pushed in AEW besides Kyle Fletcher? Well, Kyle's far and away number 1. He should be the champion right now. He's the guy that should have beat Hangman, but that's another story. Back in a moment.
He is at least being pushed.
That is true. In the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Lance Storm is joining us here today. Well, hopefully everyone has a great holiday weekend here. It's Black Friday, and if you have not yet taken advantage of our Black Friday special, I suggest you go up and do it because it's a great special. We got 2 big specials today. 1 year of website access, newsletters, podcasts, 85 shows every month, 15,000 archive shows, 4 new observers, 4 back issues, and thousands of back issues dating back to 1991, I think, on the site. That's $99 for a full year. $99 for a full year. $8.33 a month. And we also have a 3-month special, $25 for 3 months. Both of those just $8.33 a month. And if you sign up today, I mean, this will take you past the Royal Rumble. So it's a very, very good deal. And you get the podcast, the newsletter, the archives, and everything else. And at this point, if you subscribe today, it's actually cheaper than getting only the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or a YouTube subscription. So head up there and check it out. WrestlingObserver.com. It's right there on the front page. And you can also find it on my Twitter, at Bryan Alvarez. And I suggest everyone sign up today while you can. Black Friday sale. Don't miss out, as they say. And we'll be back tomorrow for subscribers after Survivor Series, a Bryan and Vinny show, also a Wrestling Observer radio show with Dave. That will also stream live on YouTube and Twitch. So use your Amazon Prime account to get a free Twitch subscription, twitch.tv/F4W video. And you can join us live, or the audio will go up immediately afterwards. And Chris Bay interview coming up later today. Nick Nemeth interview went up yesterday. A lot of people liked those, so check those out. And that's it. So, Lance, thanks again. We'll talk to you on Tuesday, correct?
I think so.
I think so. He's here every week, everybody. Twice. Same with Filthy Tom. But thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.